Let's see. Bear with me, guys. I am trying to see if we are getting live. Sunday afternoon chat. Still haven't got this live thing figured out as well as I would like, but it's a learning process. And I'm hoping to get things a little bit smoother as we go. You guys bear with me. I'm trying to see if I can also get it into the get my comments up. Currently, I do not have it set up to where I can see comments. So let me see if I can find that. Okay. All right. I think I've got it up here. It's the stats. Let me see if I can get the chat screen up as well. That way we can actually have our conversation. Now, I think I've got it. Now, let me just get it resized. Who do we have in here? Okay, let me see. All right, guys. I think that I'm live. And we're just going to see what we can do and see that we have everyone in here. And just enjoy the afternoon. There's a few things it looks like I got 3 people in here. Leave me a comment down below. And hello, George from St. Louis, Missouri. How are you doing out there? I'm still playing around with some of this here just to try to see if I can get everything set up out in Missouri, the Show Me State. Glad to have you in here. How does the audio sound? Do we sound like we're coming through the way that we should? I sure do hope so. I'm just trying to get everything set up and get it to where we can actually see something. There again, I'm still trying to figure out this. I'm not the best at doing live videos yet, but I'm working on it. And I think what I wanted to do is to come on here tonight and talk with you guys about all the stuff that's happening with Glock. I'm sure that all of you all are aware about what Glock is doing, with the changes that Glock is making, because they have to with all the lawsuits going on. How's it going, Terry? I knew you'd be in here. And again, I wish that I would actually have time to sit down and come up with a good schedule for doing this. It would be a lot easier and a lot better for all of us if I did. But that's on me. That's on me, guys. I'm still just trying to figure out some of this live stuff. I know there's a lot of people that do this regularly, a lot more often than I do, and they're a lot better at it than I am. But again, I think what I wanted to do is to come on here and talk with you all, since it's Glocktober. We'll talk about Glock and some of the stuff that's going on with them. Yeah, the Glock 45 Templar. Love that gun. Absolutely love that gun. It is, well, I tell you what, that was built by a company called Shark Coast Tactical. If you watch the video, you've seen that. Great gun. I love that gun. And I have carried that gun. The only modifications that I've done to it is where I had replaced the sights. I'd actually replaced the factory Glock sights with a set of the XS Big Dots. You guys know that I am a big fan of XS Big Dot sights. They are my favorite, especially on a defensive firearm. Now, the Templar, That is a gun. There again, it's a Glock 45, and the gun, it could be used as an everyday carry. I just don't, because of the fact that I don't want anything to happen to it in case I ever did have to have it. Never use it. Love the gun, especially now because with the stuff that's going on with Glock, with them ending the manufacturing of virtually everything. They're shifting. I don't know if any of you guys have heard, I did a video about it, where Glock is actually going to be ending manufacturing of the Gen 3s, Gen 4s, and Gen 5s. I don't think they're going to be shipping any more of them. I think sometime in November, I believe November 20th or something like that, is when it is going to basically be over with for a lot of the older generations of Glock, a lot of the old, the ones that have been out there forever. And I don't like them giving in to what's happened. And there again, for those of you guys that might not be aware, what has happened with the lawsuits for, with California, with New York, and some of these other cities, they have basically given Glock no option. They're trying to do this because if they keep going, they're going to end up bankrupting the company. And we've seen this before. If any of you guys out there remember Polymer 80, they were literally sued into bankruptcy because of these liberal Democrat cities. They're going after the gun manufacturers, and the only way that they can is to simply sue them into oblivion. They don't care how much money they throw at it, because it's not their money, it's taxpayer money. They just tax people to death and then just sue the gun companies to get them to go out of business. That's exactly what they're trying to do. And it's pathetic. And that's what's happening with Glock. That's why Glock is actually changing what they're doing. And the reason for that is because of the switches. I'm sure all of you guys have heard about that. These cities, their argument is that Glocks are too easy to modify to add those switches to them. So they are basically trying to get away from the design that allows that to happen, which again, that's not Glock's problem. That's not Glock's fault. I think the lawsuits are stupid. I think they should be immediately thrown out. But unfortunately, we don't have judges that are willing to follow the law on things like this, or even any common sense. And so they're going to let these lawsuits proceed, which they have in many cases. And that's why we have the lawsuits that we have. And that's why Glock is doing what it's doing and all that kind of fun stuff. So hopefully it'll be something that does not last forever or last long. But I am curious to see what Glock does. I hope they don't get too crazy in their changes. There again, I know ever since Gaston passed away, everybody's wondered what's going to happen with Glock. And I hope that we don't see any drastic changes. I hope that things stay relatively the same as far as Glock being Glock. That's why people buy Glock, is because of the reliability of them. I'm just curious, guys, how does the audio sound? Because there again, I'm not real sure if you guys have noticed, this is a new microphone that I've got here, and I think I've got it set up right, but there's always the curiosity. I don't have any kind of monitors or anything like that to where I can hear myself. So I'm kind of relying on you guys to let me know if something is not right. And currently what I am seeing, again, just let me know down in the comments below, because it looks like my chat might be frozen. But just let me know if you guys can still hear me. Just somebody say something, and we'll go from there. Because, again, it looks like that we have a few folks here. And, again, guys, I'm scrolling in with multiple screens, just trying to compare back and forth just to make sure that everything is the way that it needs to be. But anyways, any topics that you guys would like to talk about? I know kind of the Glock thing has been one on my mind recently, just because of, I really hate to see what's happening with Glock. I don't like them being abused. I think that is one of the big threats to our rights. I think that what they're trying to do, since they can't just pass a law banning your Second Amendment rights, they're basically trying to go after the gun companies to try to drive them out of business, which, again, that is absolutely insane. I really don't like what they're doing with that. But we have a few folks in here. And let's see, I'm getting some kind of a warning here. And let's see. Looks like I'm coming through as far as what I can tell, but let me know, guys, if you all are seeing things, if you are hearing me come through, and I hope that I am. I do believe that everything should be good, but again, guys, some of this stuff is new to me as far as these chats, and I really hope to get it figured out. And I know the more that I do, the better that we'll get at this. So it's just part of the process. That's just part of it, and just part of the fun. And I'd probably be a little better off. I think I've got too many windows open right now. I'm going to close a few of them back. And all right. Audio is perfect. I appreciate it. Thanks. And I know there's a little bit of a delay too between what you're seeing and what I am actually doing. But again, that's just part of how it goes with technology. You know how it is with technology. I mean, it's just the way that things are. Anyways, Glock, like we'd been talking about. With what's happening with them, I really don't want them to go nuts as far as their changes, and I don't think that they will. They're aware that the reason that people buy Glock is because of their reputation. And, there's a lot of other guns out there, but still, you can't replace one or the other. I don't want to see Walther change to something completely different. I don't want to see Glock change to something completely different, because there again, that's why those particular companies are there. They are there because of the people that buy them. And I think that they need to stay as they are. Yes, make a few little changes here and there. All of them can do things to improve. The aftermarket that's out there, that's another aspect as well. You've got so many different companies that are making so much aftermarket stuff this day and age that you can take a gun and customize it to fit you however you like. And I think it's a positive thing. Did you guys hear about what happened to, Legally Armed America, his YouTube channel? Currently, he has gotten a couple of strikes. That's another thing that I wanted to throw out there to you guys. If you try to do a search right now for him, his channel is still there, but he is not able to upload anything to it because what YouTube did in their usual fashion, they went to a couple of his older videos, and actually he got 2 strikes back to back. So he's basically locked out for now. I think for a week or so before he's able to do anything. He has got an old channel that he has had that he's been uploading a couple of things to, and but it's a very small channel. I think when I looked, I think he had like 2,000 subs on it compared to his main channel. But hopefully YouTube will not delete his channel, and eventually he'll hopefully be able to get it back and get back to doing what he does. Because I think that shows just what YouTube, their insanity as far as what they do. And, hopefully YouTube will get the message, because right now, for your guys' information, I'm live streaming this both on Rumble and on YouTube. And the reason that I'm doing that is I'm trying to build up my following over on Rumble, as well as in the event that anything happens here on YouTube, because YouTube is kind of funny about a lot of things. And I want to build up the audience there on Rumble as well. And on Rumble, we can do things there that we cannot do on YouTube. In fact, over on Rumble, I'll tend to do things such as putting ads or links to certain toys, if you know what I mean, that I can't do here on YouTube. And, I'll put them literally there in the videos. And Rumble does not have a problem with that. They're a little bit more free speech oriented. They're not willing to restrict people's rights the way that YouTube does. And hopefully that if enough people go over there, if enough people follow Rumble or some of these other platforms, YouTube will get the message, and maybe they'll change their ways, because they're literally destroying their own platform. So what do you guys want to talk about? Are there any questions that you guys might have? I recently, if you've already seen the video, I was out with my SIG P226 Mark 25. That's the latest video that I published. and a lot of fun, guys. That gun is a classic. It's one, mine is the Navy SEAL edition. It is the one literally that the Navy SEALs carried. You know, it's got everything, all the phosphorus coatings, everything like that. And I remember when I got that gun, I've been wanting one forever, for a long time. And when I've looked around and I just did not want to spend the money, and it finally got to the point to where I just decided to break down and just go get it. And I looked around a couple of places, and a friend of mine who owned a gun store not far from me, talked to him for a bit, and he actually told me that he could order me one pretty cheap, or I should say cheaper than what I would pay at full retail. He gave me a good discount on it. So I had him to order it. You know, I looked at the original 226 just because of the cost, but then got talking to him. And, you know, at that time, I think that SIG was moving, or I guess you could say they had lost the contract with the Navy SEALs. And that was what I really wanted, was the MK25 or Mark 25. And after talking with him, I finally told him, yeah, go ahead and order that for me. You know, he told me how much it would be. And again, he gave me a huge discount on it. And then he ordered it, and I absolutely love that gun. It is accurate, much more accurate than I am with it. And it's a lot of fun to shoot. I would carry it, but it kind of I just don't want to carry that gun, because if anything ever happens, that gun is not one that I would want to be without for a while, just because it's just such a classic, you know, and that's one that I don't think that I would be able to purchase very easily in this day and age. Yeah, I could probably order one, but there again, that cost is going to be much higher than what I paid for mine back, you know, a few years ago, whenever it was that I got it. But, you know, that was, decided to get it out and just have a little bit of fun with it. So what else is on your all's mind? There again, don't let this just be a one-way conversation. Let me hear from you guys. What have y'all been up to lately? Have you been to any ranges, any gun ranges, done any shooting? You know, let me hear from you. I'd like to know what you are up to, what you have been doing. You know, and there again, it's a two-way conversation. And, you know, I'd like to hear from you. I'm just sitting here watching a few things, guys. I've got too many windows open. I'm trying to close a few of these windows just because of what we have here and my internet speed and all that kind of fun stuff. But, you know, what have you guys been up to? I see that my audio has been coming through and all that. Sound is perfect. What kind of guns have y'all spent some time with lately? Have any of you all been doing any shooting? I would like to know. Yeah. There's a few of you in here. I know Terry, you're here, and a few of you that the regulars, and I'm real glad to see you guys here. And let's see here. You're planning on going to the range next Saturday morning. What are you going to take with you? Let's talk about what you're going to take with you to the range. You know what gun you're going to take? You know, let me know. You know, that's something we can talk about. What gun are you taking to the range? Is it going to be a SIG? Is it going to be a Glock or a Canic or something like that? What's it going to be? Come on, Terry. Come on. No, I promise the ATF is not here. They're not listening. Well, they probably are, but, you know, you never know. Taking the Ruger or going, or what? Come on. I know you're going to tell me something. What gun are you taking to the range? Anyways, you know, next Saturday, I don't know what I'm going to do next Saturday. I think that we're going to be doing some things. We got plans, I know, and plans with the family. You know, it's getting closer to the holidays, closer to Christmas and Thanksgiving. You're taking the Taurus G3 and your Rossi 357. Those Rossies are, man, they make some good guns for, you know, for what they are. My daughter's got a Rossi lever action, and you guys have seen the video on it, the Val Kilmer or the Doc Holliday edition. has Val Kilmer literally engraved in it. That thing is a collector's piece now. The Taurus G3, those are great guns. You know, I've had some students come into my classes bringing the Taurus pistols. Nothing wrong with Taurus pistols. They are great. You know, my wife has got a G2 and never had any issues with it. Hers is a turquoise color, which something about that color. She actually's got the gun in turquoise. She's got a holster for her Smith and Wesson that's actually turquoise as well. But I don't know. Something about that color that she likes. But the Taurus G3s, they make some nice ones. I actually had my 1911, my Taurus 1911, the PT 1911. I had it out for, well, it was here a while back. I actually did a video with it. Just had it out and having some fun with it. And, you know, Taurus, I think they have really upped the game as far as what they make, as far as some of the guns that they have. The first one that I got was the PT 1911, not the PT 1911, the PT 92, basically the Beretta clone. And still got it. And I need to get that back out sometime. And I did a review on it. I think it was like a 15-year review or something like that. I've had that gun long time. Make me a sip of coffee, which, by the way, guys, if you've seen it in some of my videos, I'm also now an affiliate for Blackout Coffee. That's right, guys. If you haven't heard about Blackout Coffee enough, you can go down to the link below and get you some. It's good coffee. I've been drinking a lot of it lately. Great. I'm glad that the audio and everything is good. The only ammo it doesn't like is the Norma hollow points. I have actually had problems with some of the Normas myself. I had a guy, actually, he is a retired police officer. He came in and was doing his Leosa, and he, believe it or not, he had some Norma ammo, and he had problems with it. You know, he was just basically using it just to try to get rid of it. And we were down at the range, and he actually had a couple of misfires with that ammo. And it was clearly an ammo problem. But yeah, I know what you mean. I'm not a big fan of Norma. I've got some. I think I got a couple of boxes over in the safe right now. But yeah, I don't trust it. You know, it is a little bit too inconsistent, which I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with those. But I've had a couple of different kinds. I actually had some 22 ammo. Terrible. I finally got through it, but I mean, it was basically, that's where the Heritage, little single action Heritage come into play. If I have 22 ammo that I can't get through, you know, those little Heritage Rough Riders, man, they'll eat it like it's nothing. You know, they don't have any trouble with it whatsoever. But, you know, yeah, use good ammo. Federal HST, Hornady, Critical Defense, Critical Duty, or whatever, you know, and you know, ammo is a big thing. Ammo and magazines are the lifeblood of a semi-automatic. But, you know, that's just part of it. But yeah, Norma, I'm not a big fan of Norma ammo either. We are still going, guys. I think it's settled down some as far as what we have. So, what else is on your mind? You guys got a big week coming up. I know with the weather getting colder, we've got a lot of stuff going on at work. I've got a lot of stuff going on around here. I actually had to break down and clean one of my heaters, you know, with the weather turning colder. We've been using a small heater that we've got here in the house just because it's been chilly. I haven't started the main heat yet, but we're getting closer. I don't know if it's going to be this week or not, but you never know. That's part of it. You know, getting back into wintertime, back into cold weather. I love fall, but I cannot stand winter. I mean, I'm just not a fan of winter at all. You know, give me warm weather. Summertime, I'd rather it be hot than cold. I mean, that's just me. You know, you can always, I know people disagree with me on that. There's some people that would rather it be cold, but Not me. I would rather it be hot outside. Was going through some news. I know you guys have probably seen what's happened lately as far as some of these inner cities and all that kind of stuff, just the craziness that's been going on. And, again, I can't re-emphasize this enough. Be aware of your surroundings. You need to be aware of your surroundings. You need to know what's going on around you and all of that kind of fun stuff. And, I think that there's so much going on in this day and age that people have just gone nuts. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, people have gone nuts. They have just gotten crazy. And, you've got to do what you can to protect yourself these days. I just noticed that I had something turned wrong on this. We'll have to fix that. I've got it fixed now. But anyways, another thing that I wanted to talk about or bring up was first aid. And the reason that I wanted to talk about that was because of some things that have happened lately, some things that I've seen in the news. And basically what it is, there was a state trooper. It's not been long ago. There was a state trooper that made a stop on a truck, and one of the individuals in that vehicle decided to be criminal, ended up shooting the state trooper. And fortunately, the smartest guy in that truck was the driver, who had nothing and wanted nothing to do with whatever that guy did. So he jumped out. The trooper obviously was injured. They got away, or I should say the one guy got away, at least for a brief period of time. But the reason that I bring it up is because that trooper was given first aid by some folks that were there. One of the people that was in the truck, then you had others that showed up. There's actually been some local news stories about it since then. One was, or I should say a couple of the people, was a mother and daughter who were both nurses. And it does play into why it's important to carry a tourniquet. Because one of the things that they did is the people that were there, they tried to use belts and things like that to form a tourniquet to stop the bleeding. The guy, there again, he got shot a couple of times in the leg. And those improvised tourniquets do not necessarily do what they should. They're not as good as what they should. You need to carry with you a good cat tourniquet, a good quality tourniquet for just such occasion like that. And there again, they were fighting with it. They were doing what they could, but, with a belt and stuff like that, but they really don't do as they should. Fortunately, they did get an actual tourniquet, got it on his leg, but it actually took a couple of tourniquets. Finally, when some of the first responders got there, I think it was another deputy, it was a sheriff deputy or something that got there. He had a tourniquet on him, got it applied to the trooper's leg, and was able to save his life. But it just goes to show you that it's important to have the tools and the training to do stuff like that, to save a life. And, I actually had a couple of classes here just a couple of weeks ago, and where, first aid, CPR, and all that kind of stuff. And, that's one of the reasons I do that. I think it's important to have more people in the community that understand first aid, that understand CPR and things like that. And, I think that we need to have more people in the communities, where you live. If you don't ask yourself this, who do you know around you that's familiar with CPR? Do you carry a tourniquet? Those are a few things that you should think about yourself. You never know when the person that might need a tourniquet could be you. You could come on a car wreck or anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be a tragic event such as that, like a shooting or something like that. I mean, it can be a wreck. In fact, there was another news story that I seen earlier today, actually, to where it was a car wreck, and there was a child involved, and the child was basically pinned underneath the vehicle, and it was terrible. I mean, the video of it was terrible, but they got the child out and began CPR on the child, and fortunately they were able to save that child's life. And it's simply because of people that actually understood CPR and what to do in such an event like that. So that's why I'm a big advocate of trying to get people involved in first aid and all that kind of stuff. You know, first aid, CPR, keep a first aid kit with you, a stop the bleed kit. You never know when you're going to need it. You know, I've talked about that before in other videos. Those videos don't get a lot of views, but I still think that it's very important for people to learn first aid, to learn CPR, you know. But anyways, so what's some topics that you guys want to talk about? Is there anything out there that you all are curious about? Let me know. I'm just kind of sitting here rambling myself, but again, I'm just wanting to hear from you guys to see what you guys are up to. I noticed that, you know, the channel is slowly growing, and I hope it continues to grow. I want to keep pushing for it to grow and all that. It's a lot of fun doing it. Any topics on your all's mind? What y'all's plans for this week? Is there any guns out there that you're thinking about getting? I know there's a couple on my list that I have to put them on pause for a bit, but I think there's a couple out there that I'm wanting to get. I like the new Kimbers, but man, they got a price tag on them right now. But what kind are you thinking about? Is there something that's on your list that you're thinking about trying to get? Let me know. I'm hoping to hear something and from some of you guys. And let me jump around here. Let's try to move this up a little bit. Again, I keep jumping back and forth on some of these settings, and just trying to go ahead and see what we have, to see how many folks we have in here. So what's your thoughts, guys? I'd love to hear from you. Again, I'm just playing around, trying to play with some of the settings here. Get these streams. I seem to be seeing some things that I should do differently. But that's just part of it, I guess. You know, there's a lot in here. Check you guys over here on Rumble. I'm not seeing many of you guys over there. I see a couple of folks here on Rumble, a couple of folks over on YouTube. Right now, YouTube is winning. More folks watching over on YouTube than they are on Rumble. But that's, you know, no big deal. I would like to get more in here from both channels, from both sides. You know, just to talk about a few things. And you know, I'll jump over real quick to see if I can see something to make sure everything is still working right. Sunday afternoon. Everything is looking good on our chat. Again, just trying to make sure that we have everything set the way that we need it to be. Hey guys, I just wanted to come on here for a bit and talk with you. And I know I would do a lot better if I would announce these ahead of time. And so eventually I'll get there. I'm going to try to get to work and start scheduling these and get these conversations a little more structured, a little more organized. You know, I know that that would probably help out a lot. It would help on getting a lot more people here. Just again, it falls back to the time period that I have is extremely limited in many cases. You know, I never know when I'm going to have a few free minutes. So that's what I run into. But guys, I think for now, I think we're just going to call it good. And we're going to jump back in. I'm going to try to come up with some hard dates to do this, some hard time periods, and that way announce them ahead of time to where you guys aren't just surprised by when I'm going to do a live chat. You'll be able to jump in here and, you know, we'll get a few more folks in here. But those of you guys, Terry, all of you guys out there, George, all of you guys that are regulars, Gary, I appreciate it, guys. Appreciate y'all being here as always. And all the new visitors, just everyone here, you know, appreciate it, guys. Appreciate y'all coming and watching my channel, supporting my channel, and all that kind of fun stuff. But I'm going to jump out of here and we will go on to other things, guys. I hope y'all have a good Sunday evening, and hope y'all went to church this morning, and all that kind of stuff. Guys, thanks for watching. Check out the rest of the videos on my channel, and here I am going to my routine, guys. Y'all have a fun week, and we'll see you next time.